We're gonna go back to 2015 and really analyze if Jeff Cavalier from Athlean-X really knows what he's talking about with isometrics, because the title of his video is, do isometrics build muscle? Yes, if. If what? Let's find out.
Here's an Athlete Express video for you to talk all about isometrics and whether or not they belong in your training programs, especially if you're trying to build muscle. Now, a lot of times guys will say isometrics, forget it. They don't build muscle, don't waste your time. And they confuse that with the fact that isometrics generally won't make you sore the day after you do them. Why is that? Because they're lacking the eccentric lengthening component that we've talked about that does a lot of the damage that creates the late onset muscle soreness for a lot of different reasons in your muscles the day and 2 days after. But
that is correct.
It doesn't mean that isometrics can't build muscle. Matter of fact, they can, for two very big reasons. Number one, there's two different types of isometrics. For here, I'll just grab two little cables to demonstrate.
Please.
You have yielding isometrics,
Yes.
which are basically when you hold a position and you're trying to resist the elongation of that muscle, okay? Or the lowering of that muscle, side lateral raise and lowering it down. That's number one. Number two is an overcoming isometric, where you set this thing way high, okay? To something I can't move.
There it is.
And I'm trying to move the immovable, okay? So I'm trying to pull out as hard as I possibly can up against this.
That's it. He knows.
And again, there's a lot of tension there in your muscles. And tension is what we need to elicit a hypertrophy response. But here's the thing. The tension that you develop on an isometric is actually going to be greater than the tension that you could ever develop in a concentric contraction. Why is that? Because number one, we're able to actually build into that tension. We get into a little bit of the comfort zone. We can actually increase it as we feel more and more comfortable with the move. Secondly, because of the acceleration and deceleration component and the change of direction of a concentric exercise, you actually are slowing down and decreasing tension as you change directions. Like, because we know if we're coming up here, okay, start to decelerate because we got to go back in the other direction. And then same thing, start to accelerate again because we got to come back in the other direction.
Now, you know what he's talking about here, right? He's talking about the force velocity curve, right? We can only generate so much power when there's movement involved. But as soon as we eliminate that and we're on that curve and we just go right to the top, that's when we produce the most amount of force. It's exactly what he just said.
So your total actual peak maximum force production is going to be less in a concentric exercise than it is going to be an isometric. But here's the key move. If you want to start building muscle with your isometrics, which again, I feel they can, I feel they belong in your complete training program, you're going to want to start doing these for a lot longer. So your tension, again, one of the earlier recommendations, do isometrics for about 3-4 seconds at a time. No, why don't we do isometrics for about 30 to 60 seconds at a time? You take about 70 to 80% of the weight you would normally use for an exercise and you hold it. That's if you're gonna do a yielding.
Okay, so he's about to demonstrate yielding. So he's talking about time under tension, right? As we talk about time under tension all the time on this channel, that doesn't mean anything. You can hold a contraction with a 5-pound dumbbell for as long as you want, and the time under tension, there's a lot of time under tension, but is it under the correct amount of tension? The load is nothing, right? But he's just talking about 70 to 80%. What do we talk about on the channel, right? When we're talking about isometric hypertrophy, right? Well, Paul Wade's isometric manual, we're talking about 60 to 85% of our max on the Isomax. And I'm just talking about the Isomax, but this is just in general. He's about to do a yielding demonstration, but it's the same concept, right? We're not going to build muscle unless the appropriate load is held for the appropriate time, as he just is beautifully done. Beautifully done.
If you're gonna do an overcoming exercise, isometric, load the weight up as high as you can so you can't move whatever it is, and then just go out and try to hold that tension and develop as much force as you possibly can for 30, 40, 50, 60 seconds ideally.
No way is he actually gonna hold it for that long. Dude, he is shredded. He is freaking shredded. Yeah, there's no way.
And there you go.
That was like
and that's
15
how you can
seconds.
use isometrics to develop a lot more force than you might ever thought you could. In the long run, start building even more muscle than you thought you ever could with isometrics. So, if you guys are looking for a program that incorporates concentric, eccentric, isometric training, does it in the right times and the right amounts to make sure that you're not skipping something that could be as valuable as this. Guys, it's the Athlean-X training system. I kind of put it all together.
Okay, yeah, we've heard that before. So this video has as of this record, 621,000 views. Let me go through the comments real quick. This may seem silly to some people, but I have successfully incorporated isometrics into my training, and one thing that really helped me notice new muscle gain was the mind-muscle connection while performing either overcoming or yielding. What do I keep saying? This guy has a great way of explaining and really knows his physiology. He does. And one of the things I love about Jeff and why I've been subscribed to him for so long, sometimes he can come across a little conceited, but he knows what he's talking about. I built a fair amount of muscle with Isometrics, 16-inch arms. You just need to create tension. Isometrics does that, and then contract the muscle while under that tension. It doesn't matter whether you lift weight or you use your body weight. Tension is the key to building muscle. Under the correct load, yes, you are correct. His biceps look like they were drawn from DBZ. Okay, we're done. But yes, and it's important to hear other fitness influencers talk about isometrics, because I've always been one of those types of people where you don't want to just put all your eggs in one basket. This is not to discredit myself or to discredit anyone else, because I'm not the only advocate for isometrics. I believe I am the only channel that talks about only isometrics, and that's great. But it's important to hear other people talk about the exercise science of isometrics and why they do belong in your program. You heard in the beginning, he's talking about incorporating isometrics into your total overall program because he feels like they belong. Now, he didn't even talk about all the other benefits that come with isometrics though. So if you want to check out what those are, here's a link right here. Go check that out. We'll see you there.